President, please be seated. The chamber is now back in session. Before I hand over the floor to the prosecution, the chamber would like to inquire from the prosecution how much time do you anticipate to take with the remaining portion for this witness. Also, the chamber once again would like to remind other parties to use the time allocation effectively and tries to focus more on potential questions so that it can minimize the time and to speed up the proceeding.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we will be mindful and move as quickly as we can through this witness. It is, of course, we do need to take our time a little bit with this witness because we need to use, have to use the witness statements a lot, but we will proceed as quickly as we can. We do anticipate using the time that we had requested. We won't be asking for any additional time, but I think we had asked for combined between us and the civil parties for 3 days. So assuming that we continue to proceed with full days with this witness, we would plan to finish tomorrow, and the civil parties would have a half day on Monday morning, as I understand it, and they can confirm that for me. But that was our present estimate in terms of the time.
President, thank you, the prosecution. We would also like to remind you that please do not just try to fill in the time allocation. Try your best to raise potential questions in ascertaining the truth and try to minimize the time. The chamber will have to think again regarding a stricter regime of time allocation so that parties can focus more on potential questions to be put to the witness and to make it more effective. Questions shall be potential and important in leading to ascertaining the truth. The floor is now given again to the prosecution to continue questioning this witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, we're talking about some of the events in 1977, and I wanted to turn now to ask you about arrests of Division 920 soldiers during that year. Do you recall whether there were arrests of Division 920 soldiers during the year 1977?
Response: I could not understand the affairs of other people.
Mr. President, at this time I'd like to read to the witness a statement from one of the same documents that we used yesterday, which was the interview of Ham Ansi, which is E3/366. The specific site is at Khmer ERN 00242-413. The English ERN is 00250-750, and the French ERN is 00283 165 to 66. And I would, as before, I would read this to the witness and ask to be able to put that on the screen.
Response. Yes, you may proceed.
Yesterday you had talked about Ham Ansi, who is a person that you know very well. I want to read to you a statement from him that he provided to the investigating judges. He said, quote, I just know that Chan Kim, Chin, and Say from Division 920 disappeared. I know that Tassan, Saroon's former Division 801 deputy, came to replace Chin. At Khao Sima, I personally saw Tassan arrest many soldiers of Division 920 and send them to the center. Mr. Witness, does that refresh your recollection that there were many arrests of Division 920 cadres that took place in Mondulkiri?
Response. I cannot recall that. I did not know about that matter.
Who was Tassan?
Tassan was the commander of Division 920.
And when did he assume his position in Mondulkiri?
Response. It was in 1978. And it was in early October 1978.
What happened to the person who had been the chairman of Division 920 before Tassan?
Response. I did not know because I was at my district, so I did not know much about the military affairs.
Did you know the person named Chin, who was the secretary of Division 920 before Tassan?
Response. No, I did not know him. I heard of the name, but I did not know him.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned yesterday a person named Svai, who was the district secretary of Konek district. Can you tell the chamber what happened to Svai in June of 1977 or in mid-1977?
Response. I did not know about that at that time. There was a meeting, and then at night, Svai shot 2 people dead, including my in-law, and a few other people were injured. And then he was chased, and later on he was found hanging himself in the rice field.
Who was the in-law of yours that Svai shot?
Response. One was Ki, my elder brother-in-law, and 2, Dan. Dan was also my elder brother-in-law.
Was this Key the same person who you identified as the secretary of Orang district? Is that the same Key?
Response. Yes, that was the same person.
And the person named Dan who was shot, what was his position?
Dan was a member of the Pachanda District Committee.
And can you tell us about the meeting that was held that led to Svai shooting these two people?
Response. The meeting did not raise any main concerns. It was about the encouragement for increasing of rice product in the rice farming, and it was about 12 a.m. and it was already quiet. Then there was a gun shooting from the outside, and my two other brothers-in-law who were sleeping in the same room died, and other people got injured. So there were actually 2 people who got injured. So the situation was rather chaotic inside the house, and people were trying to flee as they were shooting from the outside.
Was this a meeting that was attended by all the members of each district committee?
Response. Yes, all the representatives from the 5 districts came to that meeting, and we did not know what set him off to shoot the people.
Well, Mr. Witness, was Svai accused of being in a Vietnamese network at this meeting?
Response. I did not hear any accusation from the sector of this matter, but he just came down and shoot people.
Mr. President, we'd again like to ask the witness, direct the witness to another statement from the same interview of Ham Ansi E3/366 at Khmer ERN 00242-413, English ERN 00250-750, and French ERN 00283-165.
The President, yes, you may proceed.
In his interview with the co-investigating judges, Ham Ansi stated, quote, "In a meeting, it had been brought up that Svai had contacted Vietnam." Does that refresh your recollection that what took place at this meeting that led to these shootings was that Svai was accused of having contacts with the Vietnamese?
Response. I could not grasp that matter. That meeting did not raise the issue. No, not at all. So people were attending the meeting as usual, as there were representatives from each of the district.
So is it your testimony, Mr. Witness, that you have no idea what led SPY to shoot a district secretary and deputy district secretary at this meeting? Is that your testimony?
Response. Yes, because I did not know the matter. There was a shooting, of course. It was at midnight when the shooting started, and we heard the shouting. Maybe one person was shot and gasped for air, and the situation was chaotic as people were fleeing from the house. 2 cartridges, 2 magazines were emptied by SWI when he shot into the house, and there were 14 rounds altogether. I did not hear about the allegation or any of the such accusation at all at the time.
After this event in which SPY shot these 2 people, was there another incident in which a group of sector commerce cadres attempted to flee to Vietnam? Do you recall that incident?
Response. No, I did not hear about any other people attempting to flee.
Mr. President, at this time we would like to put on the screen and ask the witness a question related to his interview E3/384, which is at Khmer ERN 00345-905, English ERN 00348-374, and French ERN 00354-238.
The President, could you also mention the title of this document? And yes, you can proceed with the projection of this document.
Yes, Mr. President, this is the 3rd interview of the witness by the co-investigating judges. Mr. Witness, in this interview, you made the following statement to the co-investigating judges, quote, "In 1977, when I was working in Pich Da district, I heard that personnel of Office K-16 had fled." Do you confirm this statement today, Mr. Witness?
Response. Yes, I stand by that statement. They fled, but I did not know much about that because at that time I was at the Kaohsiung district. So the fleeing, that's their business. I heard that they fled and they brought along the vehicle and some guns. That's how I learned about that.
Was one of the people who fled in this group the chairman of the K-16 office, a person named Ta Nun?
Response. I cannot recall the name of the office. It's been a long time.
You don't recall Nun, who was the head of that office, who fled to Vietnam and returned in 1979 and became the governor of Kratchi? Did you not know that person?
Response. No, I cannot recall that.
Can you tell us what you did hear about the cadres from Office K-16 who fled in 1977? What did you hear about that incident?
Response. I did not hear anything else. I heard about them fleeing, and they were caught up, and then they fled by abandoning the vehicle.
You mentioned yesterday a person named Kam Poon, who was also a member of the sector committee. What was Kam Poon's area of responsibility in Sector 105?
Response. As I said earlier, Kampoon was in charge of the entire sector economy.
And so was Office K-16, the sector commerce office, one of the areas that was under Kam Poon's responsibility?
Response. Yes.
Did you know the son of Kam Poon named Kam?
Response. Yes, I knew him because his village was just next to my village and we grew up together.
What position did he hold in 1977 in Mondulkiri?
Response. You are referring to Kam, right? If so, I did not know about his position because I was at my district.
Did you hear that Kam Poon's son, Kam, was arrested and disappeared in 1977?
Response. No, I did not know about that.
You mentioned that a spy who was the secretary of Connect district hung himself after shooting the two other cadres. Can you tell us who replaced Spy as the secretary of Connect district in 1977?
Response. I did not know who the replacement was. I could not grasp the situation.
Were you aware in 1977 that every other district secretary in the sector other than yourself was either arrested, died, or disappeared?
President, witness, please do not reply yet. You need to wait for the ruling by the Chamber regarding the objection raised by the Defense Counsel. Defense Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for objecting, but yesterday you did note that one of the defense counsel was providing testimony, and you cautioned defense counsel not to testify. In this particular question, for instance, we have the prosecutor now testifying and asking the witness to validate. This is improper. This is leading.
Mr. President, if I may, the question, I have already asked the witness about all the other district secretaries. I am attempting to sum up the information, and I would imagine that this witness will be able to tell us whether or not the other district secretaries in his sector all disappeared during this year. So rather than list all the names again, I think I should be entitled to ask a summary question to the witness.
The President. Mr. Michael Canova's objection is not sustained. The Chamber wishes to hear the response from the witness to this question. The Chamber wishes to also inform the Chamber that the question that's summed up by the prosecutor just put is different from the line of question put by the defense yesterday. So we hope this is clear. Witness is now instructed to respond to the questions put by the co-prosecutor, if you remember. If not, co-prosecutor is now instructed to repeat the question so that the witness understands and be able to respond. Response. Mr. President, Your Honors, I do not understand the question. It would be good if it is repeated.
Yes, Mr. Witness, let me ask you the question in a slightly different way. Can you identify for us any district secretary other than yourself who was not arrested, killed, or disappeared in 1977?
Response. There is none.
Thank you. I'd like to now move toward the end of 1977 and the events that led to you being asked to take over as sector chief. Do you recall whether, as a result of some of the events that we've just discussed, whether Kampoon himself became under suspicion and was arrested in Mondulkiri in the latter part of 1977?
Response. I don't think I understand your question.
Was Kampoon, the person we've been discussing, who was on the sector committee, was he placed under arrest in Mondulkiri in the latter part of 1977?
Response: No, he wasn't. He was not arrested in Mondulkiri.
Do you know, or did you know a battalion commander in the sector named Talon? Talon.
អត់ដឹងទេ
Response: No, I didn't. I have never remember recalling any person by the name of Talon as the head of a battalion.
Well, let's step back a second for that. You identified earlier today the sector military chief as Ta Sophia. Who were the battalion commanders directly under Ta Sophia in Sector 105?
But
Response: There were two people, Talan and Wieng, because so far as I remember there were only two battalions in the location.
So perhaps the problem was I did not pronunciate the name well. The person I wanted to ask you about was the first person you mentioned, Ta Lan. Do you know, can you tell us what Ta Lan's responsibilities were in Sector 105?
but
Response: He was overall in charge of the whole battalion.
Were you aware in 1977 that Talang had asked Talon to place Kampoon under arrest? Were you aware of that?
but
Response: No, I wasn't. I was in my district and was not aware of some of these matters.
Did you hear, were you aware of the time when the sector secretary Talang and Kampoon flew off together to Phnom Penh in the latter part of 1977? Do you recall that?
but no,
Response: Yes, I do. They flew to work in Phnom Penh, and I still remember this.
And was it during that trip to Phnom Penh where both these men were killed?
but
Response: I don't know about this. I don't know whether any arrest was made because I was at the district back then.
Why don't you tell the chamber how you first learned of the death of Sector Secretary Talang?
Response. I was told that he died in Phnom Penh, but I did not know the reason behind his death.
Who was it that first told you that he had died?
Response. His brother-in-law directly told his relatives that Talang passed away.
And when you refer to his brother-in-law, who are you referring to?
Response. I was referring to the person by the name of Chuan, who was his brother-in-law.
And can you tell us whether shortly after the death of Lang, you were asked to go to Phnom Penh?
Response. Yes, it is correct that immediately after the death of Talang, I was called to go to Phnom Penh.
Who was it that asked you to go to Phnom Penh?
Chuan.
He was Chuan, the same brother-in-law of Talang.
What was Chuan's position in Sector 105?
Response. He was in charge of the sector commerce, responsible for transporting commodities from Phnom Penh.
And this person named Chun, did he have another name?
Response. I never remember having known him other than Chuan.
Let me refresh your recollection, Mr. President, if I could read a short excerpt from E3/384, which again is the third interview of this witness by the Office of Co-Investigating Judges at Khmer 00345-903, English 00348-372, and French ERN 00354-236.
The President, you may proceed.
Mr. Witness, in this statement of yours to the co-investigating judges, you made the following statement, quote, Chun, the Chun in charge of sector commerce work, had another name, Pan Kon. Does that refresh your recollection that Chun was also known as Pan Kon?
Response. Yes, indeed, it helps me to refresh my memory, and it is correct to say so.
Now, when Chun came to tell you that you had been called to go to Phnom Penh, did he tell you why you had been called to go there?
Response. He told me that I was called by the upper echelon to work there, and we had to go together to Phnom Penh.
And what did he say to you about how Secretary Lang had died?
Response. He told me, and as what his Talang's relative was also told, they said Kampoon was the one behind the killing of Talang.
And did he tell you what had happened to Kampoon in Phnom Penh?
Response. No. I did not know more than that because I was at the district level and I was not able to be aware of something at the upper level.
Mr. President, I would like now to read to the witness a statement of his from his first interview, E3/367 at Khmer ERN 00251-438, English ERN 00278-695, and French ERN 00486-011.
The President, you may proceed.
Mr. Witness, in your first statement to the co-investigating judges, you said the following, quote, "In late 1977 or early 1978, after the death of Talang, Chun, who was the Sector 105 chairman of commerce, came by car to call me from Pichinda district to go to Konek, and we both flew to Phnom Penh. He said to me that Lang was beaten to death by Kampoon with a car's spring leaf, and Kampoon also shot himself to death. He also told me that Anchor called me to go to Phnom Penh." Is this a correct statement, Mr. Witness?
Response. Yes, it is correct. It was what I was told before I was called to Phnom Penh.
And how quickly after learning that you had been called to Phnom Penh did you travel there? Did you leave immediately?
Response. Yes, immediately. I was at the district. He came by car, and I had to go with him on the same day to Phnom Penh.
And how did you travel to Phnom Penh?
Response. When he came from Pachanda district, he came by car, but when we left Kohnyak, we took an airplane.
Was this an airplane that belonged to the sector, or was this an airplane that had been sent from Phnom Penh?
Response. The airplane was sent from Phnom Penh. At the sector, we couldn't afford to have airplane like that. We only had cars.
Who traveled with you to Phnom Penh on this trip?
Response. I, myself, June, and some nephews who are already dead by now.
And could you please tell the chamber what happened when you arrived in Phnom Penh?
Response. I see nothing happened. We were told that Talang died. I asked why he died. I was told that Kampoon had beaten him to death, and I did not see any other things. I just heard what I was told.
Where did you go after you arrived at the airport in Phnom Penh?
Response. I didn't go anywhere other than going all the way to the guest house where we were led to, and we would stay there.
Whose guest house was this?
Response. The guest house was a location prepared by people in Phnom Penh, where we could also unload our luggage.
After you arrived and went to the guest house, did you go to a meeting in Phnom Penh?
Response. Yes, I went to the meeting in which we were told that Talang died because Kampoon had beaten him. And again, I did not witness the death of Talang.
Who did you meet with in Phnom Penh?
Response. I met with Mr. Pol Pot.
What other leaders were present at that meeting other than Pol Pot?
Response. I saw no other people other than Pol Pot himself.
Mr. President, I'd like to again read another excerpt from the same interview, E3367, the same pages as the prior excerpt, just a different statement, if I may.
The President, you may proceed.
Mr. Witness, in your a statement to the investigating judges continuing your discussion of this meeting, you said the following, quote, "When we arrived in Phnom Penh, Tachun and I went to Pol Pot's office, which was right behind the royal palace. Chun and I met with Pol Pot, Son Sen, and Nun Chea, and Pol Pot talked about Lang's story in the same manner as Chun told me." Do you confirm that this statement is true, Mr. Witness?
Response. Indeed, it is true, and the reason that I said I saw only Pol Pot because my memory is very poor, but with that, I agree, it is correct.
Do you remember what the office was like where you met with Pol Pot, Nun Chea, and Son Sen? Can you describe it for us at all?
Response. It was a very long time ago. I'm afraid my memory is too poor to allow me to recollect this very well for you.
And you said in your statement that this was an office located behind the royal palace. In relation to the royal palace, was this an office that was located on the riverside, or was this an office located on the other side of the royal palace in the city, more in the city? Can you tell us that?
Response. I came to Phnom Penh only on one occasion, and I think the location was behind the royal palace, I believe. So it is obvious that it was behind the palace. And again, I don't think I can be very certain because it was the first time I came to Phnom Penh. I had never been to Phnom Penh before.
Was there anyone else present in the room other than yourself, Chun, Pol Pot, Son Sen, and Nun Chea? Were there any other people who were present at this meeting?
Response. No, there was no other people other than these people.
Can you tell the chamber what happened at your meeting with Pol Pot, Nun Chea, and Son Sen?
Response. In that meeting, the information about the death of Mr. of Talang was confirmed, and that I was asked to take over from Talang. I told him that I was not qualified because I was not literate enough. I could read and write barely, and the position was not good for me, or it didn't suit me. I talked about this to Pol Pot.
And how did Pol Pot respond when you protested that you were not qualified to be sector secretary?
Response. He said that I could do that. I could learn on the job. And I kept telling him that I was not qualified. I did not read and write very well. I kept protesting, but he kept insisting that I took the offer, and later on I still worked to assist them. And again, as I told you, he kept asking me to take the position, and I kept resisting, protesting. But he said I could help, and he said that I would be of assistance to him. So that's all I was talking to him about.
Did he say anything to you about the Secretary of Division 920, Tassan? Did he say anything to you about Tassan?
Response. He said, if I took over or I took the offers, then I would be assisted by Tassan from Division 920. And indeed, I did not know much about the work, and Son and June were ready to assist me with my job.
How long was your meeting with Pol Pot, Noon Chea, and Son Sen? How long did that meeting last?
Response. The meeting was held for the whole morning.
And how soon after the death of Talang and Kampun was this meeting?
Response. After the death of Talang, June came to get me, and we came to Phnom Penh and attended this meeting. I couldn't recall how many days after the death, but I remember that immediately after June came to take me, then I came to Phnom Penh to the meeting. The President interrupts. Thank you, Mr. Co-Prosecutor and the witness. It is now appropriate time for today's adjournment. But before we adjourn, the Chamber wishes to ask Mr. Witness, how is your current status of your health? Are you able to assist the Chamber tomorrow? Response. Your Honors, I feel I can come back tomorrow. The President, thank you very much indeed. And it is now, as indicated, appropriate time for the adjournment of the day, and the Chamber will adjourn. The next sessions will be resumed tomorrow by 9 a.m. During tomorrow's session, we continue hearing the testimony of witness Sao Sarun. The questions remain to be put by the prosecutors. The Chamber also wishes to inform parties to the proceedings that during tomorrow's sessions and the following sessions, the Chamber may hear the testimonies of TCW 323 as well. It depends if health condition of Mr. Witness who is before the Chamber today is not good, then we may shift to hear the testimonies of TCW 323. Mr. Witness, you are now asked to come back tomorrow, and duty counsel, you are also required tomorrow during the testimonies of this witness. Court officer is now instructed to coordinate with the vessel unit to ensure that Mr. Witness can be well accommodated and return to the courtroom tomorrow at 9 a.m. Security personnel are now instructed to bring all the 3 accused persons to the detention facility and have them return to the courtroom by 9 a.m. Mr. Ieng Seri, in particular, if he shows his position clearly, whether he waives his right to be present in the courtroom through his written waiver before the chamber, before the commencement of tomorrow's session, the chamber will consider this by allowing the security personnel to bring him only to his holding cell. However, this ruling will have to be made before we receive the waiver. The court is adjourned.